Thank you for joining us with Real Talk Real Estate. Filling in for Barry Mathis is JP with 360 Blitz Marketing.
Hi guys.
We have Jen with eXp Realty.
Hey.
And we have Kari with Rancho Robles Winery. Thank you, Kari, for hosting and having us out here. What are we drinking today?
Okay, this is one of our favorites. So I'm not sure if y'all know, but this is the Sierra Foothills, and it's the second largest region in the world for Barbera wine. And this is a Barbera Rosé, which we did direct to press, which means you take the grapes, you take it, you crush it, and you turn it into wine. We have a very big cult following for Barbera wine rosé because it has structure. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
So
Are
a lot
you
of
ready?
rosés, in my opinion, it tastes like sugar water. But when you try our Barbera Rosé, perfect for turkey, perfect for stuffing, and it has structure, it's complex, and it's lovely.
Cheers. Oh, that is lovely.
So you get a lot of fruit forward. So this year in our 2022, we really worked on our finish. The finish is super important to me. I wanted to have a nice, smooth finish. So we did blend, it's like 2.3% Chardonnay with it. And so it still gives you that fruit. Yeah, it gives you the fruit bomb at the beginning, kind of softens, and then it ends with this lovely finish. Don't you think it tastes good? It's cranberry stuffing.
Oh, I do, absolutely.
It's good with air too.
Yes, yes. Air or
Sitting on the porch.
yeah, a country environment, so that would be good too. So,
Or by the pool, I mean.
so I want to thank everybody for being here today, and thank you for joining us. One of the goals here is we have realtors talk about, business and challenges, but also with that is small business, and we support local, we support small business, and so I think that entrepreneurs and real estate agents kind of have that piece in common. And JP, you support our local businesses with your marketing, and so it's just an opportunity to talk about our businesses, talk about some of the challenges, the highlights that we face in making this a wonderful community. So thank you everyone for being here. So Kari, how did you get started in the wine making business?
So first of all, one of the really cool things is we've been a Placer County resident for the last really 36 years. And I've watched the wine trail grow. It was interesting. Who would have thought we had wine next door? I mean, we lived on Mount Vernon, right across from Mount Vernon Winery. Never knew Wise Villa existed. It was the winery of the year. Like, of all the wineries in the state of California, Napa, Sonoma, Paso Robles, anywhere, 2015. So we didn't even know that existed. And so one of the pieces we say is Rancho Robles found us. We didn't find it. We loved living in the country. We lived across from Mount Vernon, loved the country. And this property, if you just go look, is amazing. And then secondly, it grows Barbera. We have over 3,000 vines. So my first 5 years was being a farmer. And if you want a really close up of the nails, you'll see what hard work it is working in the farm.
Yeah.
The thing that's really important to know about winemaking is wine is all about the fruit. You know, when you go to a store and you're like, I want to get a great orange today. We're going to slice it, and you slice it and it's flipping dry and you try to open it up. Well, that's the same thing with wine. And I work with also a winery in Napa, which we have a contract with, and they've taught me the fruit is most important.
Yeah, I love that. And so what pushed you to take that leap to say, I'm going to do it? It had to have been a lot of fear involved. I've heard the saying that, if it's not scary, it's not worth doing. Can you remember that aha moment where you had made the choice that this is what you were going to invest your time, money, and heart into?
So it's so funny you would ask that, and please don't laugh, but the true word is ignorance.
You had no idea.
Ignorance
you were
is
getting
bliss.
yourself
So everybody starts out with horses too.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, they're so cute. Oh.
And same question for you. How did you get into this business years ago?
Gosh,
What
I'm
inspired
going
you?
into my 21st year. A good friend of mine who'd already been doing real estate for about 5 years or so kind of pushed me into it. I was a young mom. I was 23 years old with 2 little babies, and I actually started to work with Barry Mathis as his assistant, and then from there our mutual friend kind of talked me into going into it. So it kind of found me. I didn't find it. I grew up with a mom who was an accountant, always in real estate companies and stuff, like back in the day down in the Bay Area and red carpet realty and stuff. So it's always been around. And then I got into it. I've done all sorts of different aspects of real estate. I've done property management. I've have actually done some different things with wineries and breweries, and have gotten really, really into a lot of country properties, which has always been like my dream because I can wear my Wranglers and my cowgirl boots, which is what I love to live in, because if you show up to a country listing and you're dressed to the nines,
it's not going to go over
it
so
doesn't
well.
go well. And so that it's really become a passion of mine. I love it, and I have a lot of knowledge with country properties and horses and all that kind of stuff. So, but that's where I kind of started in 20 whatever years later.
And
still
I would
doing it.
imagine, like, having somebody, like you said, show up without, an understanding of like land property, because that is a whole different experience.
It's a whole nother beast,
wouldn't
yeah.
you say? And so, as somebody who specializes in land property, what does that journey look like for you? In not only like understanding what it takes to own land, because Kari, I'm sure you can relate with this, but also how to market it and connect with your seller.
I think the turning point for, like, I've always loved the country since I was a little girl, and I always thought it would be cool to do country properties. So the turning point for me was the fact that we lived in the city in Lincoln, and then we moved to the country when our son was 1. And so it was kind of like trial by fire. So when you own your own country property and you're learning to farm and you're learning about irrigation water and wells and septic systems and the county and how to get around things with the county and build and do additions and all these things, dealing with ADUs, and so it creates your own very personal knowledge base, which then expands it. And for me too, without even thinking about it, I have a board, I call it my pipeline board, right, where I have different clients, whatever it may be, whether it's a buyer, seller, somebody I'm working with. Well, above that pipeline board in my farmhouse, I had this huge long picture of a longhorn. And once I put that up, that year was probably the year that I did the most country properties ever. My escrow officer pointed out, well, Jen, you're visualizing it every day. Literally, you're staring at your pipeline every day, and there's a cow right there.
I love that.
And so, understanding myself, what it is to live in the country, be in the country, when I go to a country property, I start with the country questions that any horse girl would ask.
Yeah.
And that's, I've been told, is the difference.
Yeah.
Is when I go up against any realtor who's not familiar with country properties, their inexperience shows extremely quickly.
Yeah.
Where the questions that I ask right from the get-go, they're like, oh, she actually knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
So that's
So
been a huge help.
You earn their trust.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and from the get-go, again, even like
Yeah.
you talked about, what you wear. I mean, obviously, if you're going to a $2 million listing that's in
Yeah.
the city, you're not wearing Wranglers
Well,
and
they may
cowgirl boots.
appreciate that.
They might, yeah. So you have to know your audience a little bit, know what questions to ask. But when you're doing those country properties, it's just a different questions that you ask. It's just not the same.
And I guess for both of you kind of explained a little bit, but do you have any inspirations along the way, maybe before the journey began, of somebody maybe who kind of helped you or inspired you to kind of make this decision, take this step?
I think my husband and my daughters, I think at the time, we lived right off of Mount Vernon and had 2.5 acres. And I think we just really enjoyed raising our kids in that kind of environment. When you're talking about buyers and people that are moving from different areas, I think what Placer County offers is this option to have a rural experience. And a lot of people that come to Rancho Robles are able to enjoy the outdoors. Like our daughter moved from the Bay Area back to the back 20 over there. And one of the experiences she wanted her son to grow up where he might not have access to all the games or all the city life and get to do some of the things that she got to do.
4-H clubs.
Or just not watching TV. You have to go work outside. You've got to go work on the land.
Go catch a frog.
Catch
go
a frog.
Go get into some trouble outside because you can't get into that much trouble. Go dig a hole in the dirt.
And there's something so therapeutic about that, right? Like,
it is.
My favorite thing in the morning is to wake up, get my cup of coffee, and then I just walk my property. You got to check the NID water filter and then go over there and make sure the pond's got its water coming in. But you're out there in the environment, and it's just so calming, and it feels so good. And I'm like, what an amazing way to start my day each day.
Well, and if you think about healthiness, one of my really good friends lives right down on Wise, and she was saying you get the best vitamin D your first 20 minutes in the morning without it. So if you think about your health benefits of what you're getting as well.
Yeah. So you said that before you moved to this beautiful estate, is what I call this, you had a home. Where was your home?
It's actually for sale.
Oh, is it?
I know. I wanted so badly. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, we bought it for $200,000. It's
Oh,
1.2
wow.
million right now. It's gorgeous.
Wow.
I'm like,
Yeah.
and we did all the work on it.
Yeah. And what did that property look like before transition? I mean, A, how many acres are you on now? And B, what are you selling in?
Well, we're not selling it. Somebody else. We
Oh,
sold it to
okay.
someone to buy this place.
Okay.
But it was just like looking at it and going, okay, you know, that sometimes I think another thing that's really important is to enjoy where you're living now. And to be like, sometimes we always think the next place. Like, I looked at the pictures and I literally cried. Like, how this is where I raised my kids. This was this. And I don't think I ever saw as
Like,
much
be
of
in
the
the moment.
beauty.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this needs to be fixed. Oh, we need to work on this area of the property. Oh, this. One thing that's great about getting old is you have this wisdom of saying, you know what? That red rose is really pretty. Yeah, those other ones I need to clip, but let's focus on the good.
I love that. And because I get caught up with that of like, okay, I need to do this.
Everyone
And
does.
especially in land, there's always something
There's
to
constantly
do.
something
But
either in the house, out
Even
there,
at your
constantly.
house, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I need to fix this. Why not just be okay with what we have?
Yeah. I think you're really good at like living in the moment and really just embracing the
You
now.
know, life lessons learned, right? So you live and you learn, and you know, you kind of just over time you learn that the moment is important, right?
Yeah.
So to be in it, and so that is something that I try to do every day, is just being in the moment.
I was just talking to an escrow officer about that.
Yeah.
We have a kind of a local iconic legend that just passed away in Lincoln. She's about to go to Chile for a month and a half, and she's like, "We need to get together before I go." We were both just discussing that because you just never know how many days are given to you. And we have a saying in our household too. We really like everything in life. We like to look for the silver linings.
I love that.
So no matter what happens, we've got a kid who became diabetic. Well, out of that, that's how we ended up with our one and only son, because we went ultra healthy with our diet and proved there's a baby. Like there's just
That's how it happens,
there
guys.
is, that is. Just watch out for that healthy eating. It comes along with a boy.
Apples and celery.
Which is how we ended up buying in the country, because then we had a boy and we were like, we want him to be outside, being dirty, catching frogs, getting muddy. It's just everything in life, no matter what it is, you can find the good in it. And even in those moments that are dark, you can find the good.
Yeah.
And so it's just something that I think is so important in living in the moment and being spontaneous when that friend calls you like, hey, do you want to go spend time with someone that you love and treasure?
Yeah.
Figure out a way to do that, because the work stuff will always be there. Other things will always be there, but those relationships you create make a difference.
And other than being in the moment, are there any other advice or mistakes that you guys have made along the way that were huge that if you could go back and go, oh my gosh, this is what I would tell another entrepreneur getting into this biz?
Oh my God, I've made so many.
I make them daily.
Yeah. I think, I don't know about you, but I think for me, one of the things is I have super high expectations.
Yeah.
And I really do want to make sure our customers have the best experience. And sometimes I just need to say, okay, just let them do it. Because
That's hard.
it is hard. It is so hard.
Yeah. And especially if like I look for support, like me personally, when I'm looking for support people and maybe they don't treat something the way that like you would treat
exactly.
it, or B, I'm like, or are you not treating it the way as if it were for yourself, you know? And so, and then I'm like, whoa, scale it down, Rachel. You get a little crazy there. But I do have high expectations as well, and it's hard, especially when you're so emotionally invested into a certain outcome.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I've done the same thing, especially in my younger years. I had certain expectations. The circle that I was in and the church came from, there was like 20 realtors. I got my feelings hurt a few times when it's like they start talking to me, but then ultimately the husband chooses a different realtor or whatever. And I had to learn to, if I just remove that expectation of, oh, if they talk to me, they're going to use me, it doesn't bother me who they use now. It doesn't, it's just, I believe that the business is going to come to me that's meant to come to me,
I
and
love that.
I have no issues with owning my mistake, but I will always make it right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the expectations thing I think is so huge. I've become so much more laid back and less stringent.
I'm not even there yet.
Well, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm
Yeah.
still a high D, so I'm a lot. But I just don't freak out about things the way I used to because everything is figure-outable.
I don't freak out anymore, but I do have the expectations. And the thing I feel like for us, it's got to be a winery. It's not a place that you just come and get a glass. We have a lot of knowledge, and we need to be able to share that.
Well, and
I
it's
love that,
an
yeah.
experience.
I want it to be experienced, not like you're just showing up and you're standing there and you're checking it out.
So when I come to this winery, I feel like vacation, and I'm like, oh, you know,
That's
you
cool. Oh,
have
good.
this beautiful pond, you have the waterfalls, you have the oak serene backdrop, and it feels like I'm on vacation. And so your hard work into making this place, the creativity, I mean, I think it really shines. What sets your winery apart from maybe some of the others is that you guys are putting on productions with theater here. Can you share with us a little bit about that?
Oh, Rachel, I'm so happy you asked because this is something I'm super excited about. So we've been in business. We're getting ready to celebrate our 6th anniversary in November, and we're going to celebrate 20 years of our vineyard. We're one of the oldest vineyards in Placer County. And then we're also woman-owned, which I think is a really positive thing. And I always joke because people are like, where's your husband? Well, if it was a clothing store or a kid's clothing store, no one would ask.
That is such a good point.
And, you know, this was like my dream.
Yeah.
And we met this beautiful woman named Jennifer Jackson. She's running the theater program at William Jessup. Classic Theater. She started in May. They did this event that was amazing. So we're doing outdoor theater.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it.
That's amazing.
I know.
That's
And
such
you
a
know
big
what? We
part.
need this in the
Yeah.
community.
That's a niche. It's such a big part.
It really does.
It's actually, it's a really good fit as far as business to business goes. That's a good collaboration.
And Jennifer and her crew are amazing, but also you get to sit outside. You don't have to go up to Ashland. We're hoping to do 4 productions a year. We're getting ready to do this on October 28th. We're doing the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, which I've never seen, but it has something to do with a headless horseman.
Yes.
And this
Very
little
appropriate for October.
and this patio, we're going to be all dressed up in Halloween activities.
Is this
and-
open to the community?
Yes, we are selling tickets.
Are there perks for
Wine Club members, 20% off. Yeah, they
Okay.
can go to our website. And I know, Rachel, you're a Wine Club member. And then we also have fire pits. We're going to have a food truck. We're going to have caramel corn. We're giving things for kids.
I
And
love that.
Well, tell us a little bit about a wine club member. I would like. What does that involve?
do you want to tell
Yeah.
them what it is?
Oh, so
If that's okay.
What are the perks and what is it?
I just know that
She's like, oops, I have a lot of points.
I do have a lot of points. I'm a member. I am able to bring guests in. We do wine tasting.
20% off.
20% off. And then I get to pick up a quarterly pickup, right?
And we also have big
Yeah.
parties.
Yeah.
So we have
Which
parties that are
I-
free. For
And I'm
wine.
assuming there's a lot of education that comes in your tour when a guest comes for the first time, right?
We need to do more. But yes, we do wine education nights for our wine club members. We also, like tonight, we're setting up if you want to see our dinner in the vines. So that's all dinner. We bring a chef from Sacramento. We pair everything,
I love that.
every wine with the food. But I think the biggest thing about us is I'd rather have a smaller wine club and have community.
Yeah.
Have some people where we get to know each other. I mean, we have so many people that come, like somebody you know,
Yeah.
will bring all their friends, and we just love that.
Yeah.
That's what I was
And,
going to say.
and I
about
guess
wine.
the other weird thing is, and I'm going to be very honest, is we crush our wine in Napa, 90% of it. We do small batches here, but we were blessed to have a contract with Napa. The owner of a really big winery wanted to have our Barbera. So during COVID, I was driving the Barbera down to have it crushed, and their equipment is just ginormous. $150,000 press, that's phenomenal, versus a $5,000 press. So I go there every week to do our crush.
Wow. That's
So you're getting Napa quality wine in Placer County.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
When we were interviewing Joe from Chianti,
Chowdies? Yeah.
Yeah.
Love Joe.
he had talked about, you know, the land and how it's just this Mediterranean environment, and it really does create the perfect grape for the perfect wine here. And so I feel like we are slowly gaining momentum, but I do believe that the Placer County Wine Trail will have the same reputation as what Napa has. It's just, you know, it takes time to build that up. but not only from the business side of that, but what it does for our property values as Placer County residents, I think will be really good.
And if I can interject, one of the things that I found is so many people that are moving from different areas are so excited to see excellent quality of wine and activities because they're used to that urban lifestyle and being able to access it.
And before it was like, oh, you want to go wine tasting, you know, you go to Napa, and it's like, well, why would you drive all the way to Napa when we have our Placer County wine trail? We're really fortunate.
Our farm, you have probably the same distance experience, but our farmhouse, that was one thing we loved. We were closer to any winery or brewery than we were even a gas station.
Yeah.
We just sold our little farmhouse that we had. Sure enough, the people that bought it, they were going to Wise Villa to go wine tasting.
Yeah.
They were not even looking to purchase a home, but they saw the open house sign, stopped, and they purchased our farm. Isn't that great?
That. Yeah.
But that one thing we miss is I feel like there's this lovely community along the Placer County Wine Trail, and I feel like when you have the wine memberships too, it like the owners get to know you, and you like Joe Ciotti. I love him. We're wine members there, and it becomes this little community. And I feel like when you live in that country setting too, like it doesn't matter where you are in there; they're your neighbors. It's just a whole different. It's just like it almost takes you back in time with the camaraderie and the community. And
Well, and we, Joe, I know we went to Italy, and I mean, this is what it feels like.
Did you go on the Italy?
No, we do our own Italy.
So
we're doing it next year.
I told Joe, I was like, hey, I need to know.
Oh
So,
no!
I asked him
Next
to
year
pack me in a
are
suitcase
going.
next time.
Next year you're going with Rancho.
Yes.
We have a Rancho. Let's just be clear, y'all.
like
We're
that,
talking about Rancho here.
Yeah.
And we're going to actually the Piemonte region.
Yeah,
and
I always wanted to go to that
And I
one.
think what's really important to think too, like when we went to Piemonte, we met all the owners. And again, like you said, you get to meet the owners. I mean, you work hard, and a lot of people on our wine trail, I want people to really understand, 80% of the people are working second jobs.
Yeah.
Wine, you look at it and you're thinking, what? I could sit down and do a whole show on why wine costs what wine costs.
Yeah.
I just did punch downs on Pinot using a nitrogen punch down that, like, I was drilling for oil, you know? People do not understand. So I think just to know we are all putting our heart and soul to help the community. I mean, it would be very easy for me to say, no, we're not going to have Rancho. I live here. Hey, this is mine. But a lot of us, we choose to share it with our community because we feel it's important.
Yeah. Well, let's speak about that a little bit. When there's like work-life balance and the struggles.
There's no work-life balance for any wine owner. I'm going to tell you, none of us have it.
Are there specific moments that you can think of where you're like, I'm going to quit. I am done with this.
Every day. Every day.
Every day.
And I'm telling you the truth. Like, one, when you're farming and you watch the raccoons, you're at your 24 bricks, you're ready to harvest, and raccoons are coming, or the birds are coming, or your nets are open, and it's like giving birth. It's like right before birth, and somebody takes your fruits. And then you've got, things you just wouldn't know, like,
I would never know. I would never know.
Moles, squirrels would go down the
moles
lines.
and the bulls. You got both.
And if you look down, it takes.
Wait, what's a bowl?
Yeah.
It's like a
What is a
smaller.
bowl? I didn't know.
We have tons
I
of
know
moles out here.
moles. Maybe I
They're
don't know the
smaller. They're smaller than a mole, and they're bigger. Around the side, more size of a gopher, but they're extremely common out here, and they make a bunch of the small holes, very similar to a gopher, though, but they're smaller, or to a mole, but smaller. They're very common out here.
But the one thing we have now is we have feral cats, which has been a really good thing, which I love. We put them out in the vineyard, and they go and they
do their business.
They do their business. They do their job. Yeah.
But I would have never known that.
We recently
it's all about
adopted a
perspective.
kitty.
Oh,
And she's a hunter. Coco is a hunter. Coco from day one has wanted to be outside, made it very clear. And so she spends all day, but she brings me her prizes every day.
How wonderful! Where does she plant her prizes at?
Oh gosh, everywhere. She's learning to hide them because she doesn't like to take them from me. So half of a body of a lizard I will find stashed under a blanket or a couch.
Oh my goodness!
It's great, but she's a great little hunter. I can't even imagine. She's a tiny little thing, so I can't imagine when she gets bigger what she's going to bring me.
Yeah.
But she loves to show it off.
What a nice girl.
Yeah.
When we're talking about showing off, I just need to show off 2 of our wines
Oh, I would love
for the
that.
holidays.
Yeah.
Okay.
Show them all off. You don't have to show
Well,
off 2.
these are my 2. The 3 I'm most proud of. So this is the reunion. So we noticed after COVID that people started coming out to the winery and they were reconnecting. And so the other thing we noticed is, and we do notice this, that we don't sell a lot of red wine in the summer. So we created a wine that has Sangiovese and Barbera in it. And it's like my favorite blend that we've ever made at Rancho Robles. It's super light, but I think as it ages, it's going to be really good. And you could add a frozen strawberry to it. Like if you were looking at your holiday decor, a little bit of rosemary sprigs, and I think you've got the most beautiful wine ever. And I dedicated this wine. This is my first blend that I actually made from scratch. Dedicated to my dad, because my dad, every time we would drink, even anything, we'd say salute. So let's do a salute. Because I think as we're watching salute, when we all get back together, I think it's important. And then the next one, and this was what we are really well known for, is our friendship. We won gold in Amador for Barbera, which was a big deal for us.
That is a big deal.
Against Cooper, against all the Sierra foothills region. I know, I was so happy. I found out when we were in Texas. And again, the Barbera friendship, this is yellow. The color of friendship is yellow. Yeah. Also, if you notice on our label, we have Lincoln on the label. And we really just feel like for holidays, the Barbera and the Reunion are going to go great with it. And if you think about a Friendsgiving.
Yes. I'm going to a Friendsgiving, so I know what to bring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then our last one is what we're drinking now, is the rosé.
Yeah, which is perfect for
Isn't it?
today. It's really lovely. It's really good. Can you share with everyone, as far as membership with the community, what does that mean to you, and like what does that look like when you have those connections with people coming back to the winery?
Well, that's the best part. That's why we don't quit. And that's why you just, like, you get to know people like Rachel, get to know people like Darcy. You should join us, girl.
Yeah.
4 wine memberships right now. It's such a problem.
Well, then that's why
and then we need to make sure that any wine memberships we have will ship to Tennessee in 2 years.
Oh, we can.
Oh, there we go.
We have a lot of Tennessee folks.
Ray, I have a pickup, so if you could help me bring my stuff to my car.
Well, so you get your 20% off.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing that's super fun, and really, I'm super excited if you guys want to come. We're going to have our 6-year anniversary and our 20th vineyard anniversary on November 17th, 18th, and 19th. We do live music all weekend, food. We just go all out for our members because we would rather have smaller numbers and people we know.
Yeah.
And
and who continue to support your business, who continue to show up, and you're by first name basis. Like, how lovely is that?
And so many people are like, your wine is too cheap. We just have members like, you need to up your wine. So we just had a whole deal with the county. They were going to charge us $100,000 for traffic fees, which they gave us a $6,000 quote. And that was for nothing. Just like, okay, you're building this barn. If you have the same number of people, you don't have to pay the $100,000. Or $70,000. But if you open your doors to the public and you give them a roof, you're going to have to pay it. And we were not willing to do that for our customers. We're not willing to say, okay, Napa, the average price now is $55 a bottle, and ours are $25.
And that's because of the fees that are associated.
Associated in Napa.
I had no idea.
I think it's really expensive.
People don't really get it. And so what's interesting is I was in Willamette, which is the Pinot region. They started with 20 wineries like us, but the whole region got behind them and decided, let's make this the Pinot region of the U.S.
Yeah.
Now they have 600 wineries with billions and billions of dollars of Pinot going out. So what the government needs to understand, Placer County needs to understand, by making this a Barbera region, we could do so much.
Yeah.
It's like Lodi is the Zinfandel capital of the.
Exactly.
I'm like, in Lodi? I had no idea.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that a little more. What are some other struggles of doing business in Placer County that you feel like are just like, oh man?
It's just the government.
I think sometimes the smaller size of our county, number-wise, it makes it really difficult to run small independent businesses. It really does.
It's tough for small business.
I think so. I've heard that from numerous business owners. They make it really, really difficult. And in the wineries, I've had numerous wineries and breweries that have had to really fight the county. And it's normally the same thing you're talking about, this road tax for, well, you're using the road or you're using that driveway.
And we've all seen the roads. So.
Yeah. But I think
I don't know where they're putting the money at. But they're
it's
really
by
trying
65. But the issue is that, like, when I talk to Willamette, when I talk to Amador County, is that they're lumping us all together. So Rancho, at a production of 1,500 cases a year, is being lumped with the Home Depot, which is millions of dollars. So they don't have a tiered strategy to be able to say, okay, let's look. $1,500. What's that revenue versus this revenue with a corporate conglomerate? And I think they just really need to take a look at what is that business versus one size fits all. I was a teacher. When I taught my classroom, it wasn't every kid needs to get the same
Yeah.
lesson.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
need centers. We need you and you and you to know different things. We need the same thing. And the other thing I know, because being a teacher, I know when you're a federal or a state government employee, you don't understand what the cost of post-its are. You don't, I mean, it's all given to you.
Yeah.
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 But when you have to do this, it's just different.
Yeah.
It's night and day.
The ins and outs of running the business and what it entails and what
Yeah.
you need as far as expenses and budget to balance.
But I will shamelessly say our supervisor, Shanti Landon, has
Love
been
her so
okay.
much.
I'm not saying this, but she set up meeting after meeting after meeting to help us resolve issues. And even Wygant prior to it, they were willing to
I
listen.
love that. I love that.
And I think one of the things I think is that when you are in a smaller environment and you have a supervisor that does see what you're doing, that is a benefit.
and support small
And
business.
She does.
our neighbor. She used
Oh
she
my
would
gosh.
go running past, she'd come to our house. I'm like, Shanti? She's like, I think your goats are out. Like I thought, because she lives in our community too, so she cares so deeply,
Yeah.
and she understands the struggles with the country properties and with, and don't get me wrong, I love Placer County. I wouldn't want to live in any
No,
other
me
county in
neither.
California. It's so amazing here. We have Camper West right there, and then Folsom over there. Like, it's just so beautiful. Good schools, amazing wine
Exactly.
country. It's amazing. It's just hard as a small business.
As we open that communication, I think that, that's where the space for change is, but it takes that activism and communication to make
Yeah.
that change in place. I just want to touch base on Shanti again, though. You do see her active in these groups, and you see her constantly replying, and I appreciate her. And not only that, but she not only is a board supervisor, but she really is the true piece of like serving your community. She does
I
a
agree.
lot.
Can I tell you
Yeah.
guys something totally crazy?
Yeah.
And I know this might be longer, but last weekend we had a couple who were getting married at a church, and they were having their wedding reception
I know
here.
this story, I think.
Okay, they didn't get their marriage license.
Yep, I do know this story.
6:30 in the morning, I text Shanti, hey, we have this couple, any ideas? She went out to the county commissioner, Ryan, over 4 hours. She got their marriage license.
Wow.
And they were getting married at the church at 1:30. And you should read what she did. Like, I gave up. Shanti did not give up. She got Ryan to meet them in Rockland. Who does that? Do you know how easy it would have been for me to say, oh, sorry,
Yeah.
for her to say, it's Saturday, for Ryan to say, it's Saturday. I mean, to me, I feel like that is what makes Placer County great. So if you're thinking of living somewhere, oh my gosh, you're so lucky.
And I mean, that's the real picture of community, like community coming together and everybody saying, okay, here's this challenge. Let's come together and figure out how to solve it.
And then-
Rather than saying, I'm sorry, I'm off the clock.
Exactly.
It's Saturday.
What's interesting about that too, because I did get to read that story. I was like, oh,
I cried.
It was
I
from
cried.
another friend. But what was funny, it was that the pastor that was marrying them was like, no, I will not marry you without that. And the poor young couple was just like, oh, and it hadn't been for Shanti, they wouldn't have.
been married.
Yeah.
And she couldn't have worn her dress.
Yeah.
And I woke up, I didn't read the whole text. I'm like, oh no, that's not happening.
Yeah.
They have paid, it's a couple that had paid themselves. They paid for the dinner, they paid for all this. I'm like,
And can you imagine like the
Poor bride.
pit in your stomach of
Yeah.
feeling like, oh my gosh, this isn't gonna work out.
So that's another nice thing
So-
about the small county. So
Yeah.
I think as we keep, like you said, get that momentum, move forward, it'll just get better and better. But I do love that community we have.
Yeah, so I want to shift the conversation to a little bit social media. I mean, I think that social media impacts us all. You're an expert in social media, and you
I'm not actually. That's the biggest
Well,
misconception.
But I think that the fruit is in your work, and I think that the businesses that you do work with see a change in the momentum.
having a presence is important in any small business. I think it's one of the things that can help you get out there. It's definitely not something I'm an expert in, but I'm getting more comfortable with it, and we've talked earlier a little bit about it. So how do you guys feel about business and social media?
Well, as a real estate agent, I feel like if you're not on social media, actually, every once in a while when I'm doing a deal with another realtor, I go and look them up on social media. And if we only have like 6 friends in common, I'm like, oh, that's sign number one. They probably don't sell a lot, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to do their job for them.
Yeah.
It's just something that I do pay attention to. Me personally, because I've been in the community in Placer County for so long, and I've been doing real estate for so long, I get so much business off of referrals, and I'm off social media. And I'm not talking like I paid for an advertisement.
Yeah.
I mean, I just have so many clients that are in the community that will name me, and even just having other realtor friends, I go places and people are like, I know you. I just had this happen at Rockland High School football game. I'm there. I'm just trying to use the restroom.
Did you get fangirled?
She goes, I know you from Facebook.
I love
And we both had horse, and it turned out her realtor was
Aw.
my best friend,
Oh,
who was
okay.
there too. And she is like, oh, that. And so I posted being at the football game, and she commented on that. She's like, see, I knew we knew each other, but that happens so much where people are like, I know you from Facebook. I go to DMV in Auburn. The lady's like, I know
It's a
you from
great,
Facebook.
like,
We live down the road from each other.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, sometimes it's a little bit weird because I'm like, I have no idea who you are.
Yeah.
But I just fly with it.
Yeah.
I do feel with real estate, at least, it's super important because it also helps you with getting clients, selling the homes when you have listings.
Yeah.
There's those country properties. There's country neighbor pages, so I know to post them on there, and horse pages, and
Staying top of mind.
yeah, and Airbnb and different things, and being able to share stories. So I think if you're in real estate and you're not doing social media, it is one of the biggest mistakes you could ever possibly make. And I'm not saying you have to be an expert. You can hire someone for really inexpensive or have tools that are inexpensive to help you. But I feel like you have to have a presence on social media because it just makes too big of a difference in our industry and our time to not have that.
Yeah.
Great.
Excellent. Well
All right.
said.
You're welcome.
Do you second that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what have been some of the struggles with you in social media?
We are in social media all the time. I really believe it. I have 2 young daughters in their, mid 20s, and they've
Oh,
been
yeah.
just fabulous
Have you
on
delegated
social
the job
media.
to them?
Well, and then I
They're
have a,
super helpful. I'm
Yeah.
not the same. The
And then-
20-year-olds are great. I'm like,
and then Brianna, we have an amazing, she had worked with us and now she's in Ohio. She does all our posts. And I think what's really important though is to have a consistent message. Like
Yeah.
if we're going to do an email, we have our same message going out in social media. I love to do the videos. I just think social media works.
Yeah. Now you have a weekly email.
Yeah.
How is that going, and what's been your feedback from that?
I
Do you-
love it.
Do you find momentum in the communication with the community?
I feel like it makes people, they're in touch, and we, like this week, we're talking about harvest, what we just did in harvest. We also update. So I just feel like the more you communicate, people will decide if they want to stick with you or not, but at least
Yeah.
you're out there and being proactive. And MailChimp or Constant Contact, once you do it, and you do it one day, and then you take your main story, and then you also do it in Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, whatever you want to do, you're getting your message out at different times of the week.
Yeah.
To mass
It,
crowd.
it
Yeah.
does.
There's a lot of tools out there.
But I think you have to be consistent.
and I will say you can also, I mean, there's lots of tools for auto posting and stuff, but I have a virtual assistant who does it. She's worked with me for, I don't know, 6-7 years, same gal.
Yeah, same thing.
That's why I have a post daily, and people comment on it. They all think it's me posting it. I'm like, that's not me. Unless it's pictures of my kids, it's probably not me. But they all think it's me, and
Yeah.
I need that help. I have 6 kids. I run 2 businesses. Like it's
Well, and
it's a
social
lot.
media is like almost a full-time job.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
And it takes strategic planning and then intention, I think.
Yeah, we should definitely have a plan.
Yeah.
You do. You have to have a plan.
Well, I want to thank you all for being here. JP, a big thank you to co-hosting, filling in for Barry. I greatly appreciate your time and your expertise and your ability to connect with people. It shines, and I appreciate all that you do.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you for being here. Thank you for hosting this
Absolutely.
beautiful venue and allowing us to talk business and real estate, share what we do. So thank you all. We appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you on the Placer County Wine Trail.